Hi, and welcome back. This is log number 8 of the European vacation and our last full day in England. Um, just a few points I want to start with. First of all, it's been an incredible vacation so far. I've learned quite a bit as far as history of England. I learned a lot about different strategies for World War II. I've learned a lot about the Normans, the Saxons, castle design, castle defense. I've learned a bit about cathedrals, how they were built, different procedures inside. I even got to learn a little bit about crypts. It's actually pretty fascinating. But what I learned the most about England was its culture, how they operate, how people go to work in the morning, what's their preferred mode of transportation, how they generally greet friends, what they prefer when they get on a tube, do they stand, do they sit more? Are they more polite and let you to go in first? Are they more likely to butt in front of you? Even etiquette for escalators. So, it's been a fantastic trip so far. I've learned a lot, and most of all, I've enjoyed it, and I'm going to take away a ton of memories from here. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I've taken quite advantage of it. And what I didn't mention to you was the food, which I'm sure you're all going to hate me for because I got to try some fantastic stuff on this trip. Fish and chips, haddock, scampies. I found a new love for gin and tonics. Gin, which is very popular. Lots of gin distilleries in London. Gin has a little bit of a history with London, which I'll talk about some maybe in the next log or down the line. I got to try even Yorkshire pudding, or at least a version of it today, called steak and fuller. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's see. Other cuisines I tried, I already told you guys when I went over to the eastern town of Kent. I got to try broccoli and Stilton soup. So, I've never heard of Stilton until that day, so I'm a little bit smarter. Anyways, on that note, let's start with the day. I got to visit the Tower of London today. Come with time on your hands. If you ever have a chance to see it, come with time on your hands. Basically, you are going to be in a lot of lineups, a lot of queues, a lot of rooms with mouth breathers. You're going to be around a lot of people. If you don't like a lot of people, which I generally don't like crowds, it's going to be difficult to go to this place. Obviously, because it's right in central London and because it's a major, major, major attraction. There was no quiet spaces. It's a lot of people. Tens of thousands coming in for each day just to see this thing. Today we got there pretty early. We got there about 10:30 in the morning, and there were already big, long lineups. We were able to fast track a bit because we bought what's called the London Pass. The London Pass, if you're ever coming to London, book it ahead of time, pick it up. It'll get you free into a few things, so that's good. Tower of London, Chislehurst Caves, Buckingham Palace, I think does some things in the summertime. Windsor Palace, I believe you get into with the London Pass. It'll get you into a lot of attractions, Let's see. I'm not sure if the Eye is included on that, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, Tower of London. Ancient structure. Very defendable, has never been breached as far as we were told. Lots to see and do in there. There's interactive stuff for the kids. We got to see the tower's mint area where coins were pressed and made. We got to see a lot of the places, of course, the execution sites, towers, whatnot. A lot of displays that had to do with weaponry, armory, cavalry, horses, stuff like that. So we were hoping to get a tour from one of the yeomans or beefeaters, the guards of the tower. They live there throughout the year, and they host the tours because that's their home, and they make a point of letting you know that. So give them a little respect for that. The only problem is the tours, while they're free, you show up at a certain time and a yeoman comes, stands on a little stone block and yells out for 10-15 minutes stories about the area and the history. The problem is that it's not an organized group. So we got there and we saw a couple of people. We were 10 minutes early. By the time the 11 o'clock bell hit and it was time for the tour, there probably was close to 90, 100 people. How does a tour guide handle 100 people? I could barely hear him at times. I managed to take some video of it, and I'll post it on my channel. At the beginning of the tour, when he tells you a lot about the executions and the history of the executions and whatnot. And then when we moved to the next spot on the tour, which is a little bit inside the tower, he was so far away from me that I couldn't hear much from him. And by the time he moved on to the third spot, I basically said to my travel mate, I said, let's just forget this. Let's go off on our own. I can't even hear what he's saying. So I also had some little girl trying to push in front of me with her mom, and I was like, okay, that's a little rude. So we went off on our own, and we went into one of the buildings that hosted a ton of displays of weaponry. Some of it blows your mind. Weaponry throughout the ages. We saw the weirdest, oddest stuff. I'm going to post some of the pictures of it on my Facebook. Guns like steam-powered guns and the first triple-barreled shotguns from ancient days. Flintlock guns, which are a personal historic favorite of mine. Pikemen, stuff like that. Different swords, two-handed swords, claymores, stuff like that are all displayed in there. As well as in one little surprise, which was nice, a big metal construct of a dragon. We couldn't find out what the purpose of this was because we didn't see any guides on that floor of the tower. I'm sure they were there, we just didn't see them. And we couldn't find any plaque next to it describing what the hell this thing was, but it's a giant dragon made from different metals. So I guess it's just a little art piece thrown in there. I don't know. We took pictures of it. So if you're interested, check out the Facebook page, mine. Email's rgthorn24@gmail.com. Check it out. And other than that, after we finished the tower, time was running short because we still wanted to make Churchill's bunker, so we took off, headed to a different part of town. Needed to grab some lunch, so we went to the Red Lion. The Red Lion is a pub about a block or two from Churchill's War Room, which is where the event is. And we went in there, and we were very, very lucky because we got probably the last two seats, and it wasn't even completely a proper two-seater. There was a long table reserved for maybe 3 or 4 people. The manager was nice enough to give us the end. He said, you can just pick an end of that and take it. And we were lucky because big crowds were coming in for lunch right after that. But this is the place where I got to try my first official Yorkshire pudding of sorts. It was a steak and fuller pie made with button mushrooms and thyme. It was absolutely delicious. I mean, I don't think I've ever tasted a pie like this back home at all. I'm convinced you can't make a pie like that at home. So we had that. Had another double gin and tonic. I've had gin and tonics in the past, but they've never really been my drink. I think I'm starting to like them. more of my mom's drink. She liked it. She's now gotten me onto it. When I was younger, it was Tequila Sunrise. I don't know if any of you remember that. Then it was, when I couldn't get those, or when it was too expensive, it was Singapore Slings. I know a lot of you might remember those ones. Now it's gin and tonics. Caesars came after that, and then gin and tonics. Anyway, back to the point. As we were there, we actually ran into two girls, ladies about our age, from Kingston, Ontario, so that was really cool. We got to talk to a couple of fellow Canadians there. And then as we were exiting, we thanked the manager, complimented the place, shook hands. He said he was coming to Canada next year, so that was cool. Said, see you in Canada. I guess with my loud voice, a couple of people that were out on the patio up front heard, and they said, are you from Canada? I said, yeah. There we are talking to another couple. Wherever I go, I'm making friends. So, we got to talk to this nice couple from Vancouver who were up here to see, I can't remember the artist's name, Joe Bonamassa or something. I'd have to look it up. But they said to get into him. He's a really good, like B.B. King kind of rocker, young guy, guitarist, so look into that, I guess. After that, we proceeded to the War Room, and it wasn't bad. I generally like underground stuff, as you know, from my big interest in the Chislehurst Caves. And I love wartime stuff like Churchill. I've loved the movie, Finest Hour. I love the documentaries that had to do with him, so I should have naturally loved this. Maybe I'm just starting to get a little tired on the vacation. I'm not in a hurry to come home. I actually wouldn't mind staying for a few more days in England, honest to truth. But I guess just I'm a little tired of everyday hustle bustle to get to different events. I'm the kind of person that generally needs a day off wedged in there somewhere. I kind of feel like I've done 7 straight days of shift at work. So focus is a little bit, slipping, whatnot. I got halfway through the Churchill War Room, which was fantastic. Oh my God, is it informative, and it is incredible. I found it very hard to pay attention, and when I hit a cafe down there in the middle of it, I immediately went for 2 bottles of cold juice, a coffee, and a really awesome berry pie. Excuse me. That was made up of raspberries, blackberries, and something else. Blueberries, I think. It was absolutely delicious. I sat there for a bit. Obviously, I couldn't get a signal from Chris, who we got separated in the somewhere down there in the War Room. And I couldn't find him. No signal on cell phones, so I decided maybe I better move on and get upstairs. I thought the tour was actually over at that point. They positioned the cafe in a room in the underground halfway through the tour because it says tour continues this way. I thought, crap, I'm tired. I'm thirsty. I want more drinks for some reason. I don't know why I'm so thirsty. So I kind of did something really stupid, and I started zipping through displays, not even just glancing at them. I saw the map room, which was fantastic, and I stopped to take a few pictures, and then I kept zipping through. I just started walking right past people, walking right past displays. I felt bad because this was one thing that I really wanted to see, but my heart just wasn't in it today. I was tired. I was, full from the pie and stuff. I just didn't want to see any more displays. So eventually I went to the gift shop. I found a really cool book on Winston Churchill that I'm going to take back with me. It was only about £6. And that was it. Chris was waiting outside, so we hooked up. Went to Twinings to get any final teas for him. Then we went to the souvenir shop. I picked up a couple of shirts for my sister and a couple of things for my dad. And then I headed back to the hotel, and here we are. I don't know what we're going to do for dinner tonight. I'm thinking we might just go down to the hotel restaurant downstairs and grab some soup. Nice and simple. And that's my day. We're going to work on packing and organizing a couple of things tonight. Not totally packing, but kind of, working the souvenirs so they fit nicely. Tomorrow, no real plans. Sleep in, chill, have a bite to eat somewhere, and then it's time to be at the train station for 1, because at 2 o'clock our train leaves. It's a high-speed Eurostar, and that goes to Paris. So my next vlog should be in Paris. Anyways, my last full day in London. I'm gonna miss it. I know I'll be looking back through the pictures one day and say, I'd love to go back there. I don't think it's gonna happen, but who knows. Anyways, last vlog from London. See you next time in Paris. Thank you for watching. Cheers. Have a good night.